Protect your DNA. BioPQQ can promote formation of new mitochondria. Infowarsstore.com.
One of the big issues here in the United States of America is that of quote unquote prepping, which is just being prepared for a situation that arises. You know, I have a lot of family live in kind of the backwoods out in the sticks, and they take it upon themselves to be prepared. Now they just call it prepping and try to demonize you, but they understand that if you live way out in the sticks, if there's a flood, if there's snowfall, if the roads are blocked by trees or some other falling debris, you may not be able to go to the grocery store. And they don't live in suburbia where there's a grocery store in every corner, so they have to be prepared for the likelihood that something's going to happen. Now, for BuzzFeed or whoever else writes their hit piece, I'm not some crazy prepper. I live in a one-bedroom apartment. I don't have a fallout shelter. I'm saying I do have a little bit of food that I could survive on if the roads were closed for whatever reason, and this just is basic common sense. And now we see that people are wishing they had this type of mentality in other countries, as we have reports of the Czech government telling its citizens to prepare for the worst. And after the German government told its citizens to stockpile food and water in case of a catastrophe, the Czech government is also now reportedly warning its population to prepare for the worst. On the other side of the border, Czech media is reporting that the country's food reserves are struggling, and it would be incapable of meeting demand in the event of a national crisis. Supplies of milk powder are particularly low. And if you guys recall, it wasn't that long ago, we brought you the story about how in North Korea, they are literally telling people to eat grass. They said, eat plant roots. Meanwhile, Kim is, dining on whatever he has. He's well fed, you can tell by the pictures. But he's telling his citizens to go out and eat grass. Likewise, in Venezuela, we've seen the food lines and all these other things that are going on, the food crisis going on out there. So I don't think it's out of the ordinary to have a box of crackers and a bottle of water just in case something was to happen. But, that's just my personal opinion. Now, going on the other side of the planet, to talk about some international news now in some other ways, we've seen a deadly terror attack at a university in Afghanistan, and this was an attack at American University. It says gunmen attacked American University of Afghanistan during classes on Wednesday evening, setting off an explosive and trapping students and professors inside the building for several hours, while dozens fled to safety, eyewitnesses and officials said. At least one person was killed in the attack and 26 were injured, according to the Ministry of Public Health. No group immediately claimed responsibility for the attack. And, of course, I would say our thoughts and prayers go out to these people, but then the Democrats say, oh, you suck because you want to give thoughts and prayers to people. Well, I mean, what's wrong with wishing people well when they get attacked? But, they get attacked if you say something like that on Twitter. But I'll go ahead and say I wish the best for the people out there, and I hope the people who were responsible are brought to justice. Like they said, it's not being pinned on any particular group, but if it does come out to be as part of a terror group, I hope they do catch those guys. But that's a very long-winded way of saying that these attacks happen all over the world. They just want to focus on the ones that happen here and want to blame it on X, Y, and Z. But regardless of what weapon you have, whether it's a bomb here or a truck in France or any number of other things, the bad guy's going to use whatever tool they have available to them at that time to commit that crime. Now, there's been an earthquake in Italy. It's rocked Italy, and at this point, the body count is 120 dead. Of course, in situations like this, there's a lot of people covered by rubble, so they know what the exact toll is at this time, but they say the death toll is still rising as responders use bulldozers and manpower to rescue residents from rubble after a 6.3 magnitude earthquake that rocked Italy. And of course, a very sad situation there. And to bring it back here to the States now, there's a lot of talk as to the issue with police shootings. I don't think anybody argues that this is a problem, but the thing that keeps getting kicked around like the football is that why are these things happening? And it's the chicken of the egg scenario. It was the bad people in the streets, or it was the cops. It was the cops that made the bad people in the streets. And at this point, it's kind of like the Hillary Clinton thing. What difference does it make? We have to move forward at some point and try to figure out a way past this. And there's a lot of people who want to pin it all on race. And of course, race is an issue for any number of things. You have driving while black or other types of racial profiling. And I'm definitely not trying to downplay those. But we have a situation here where a black officer shot a man for simply being deaf. And the situation was that a state trooper pulled a guy over for, I believe, some type of just minor traffic speeding violation. The guy's 29 years old. He was just feet from his home in Charlotte. And witnesses say the trooper shot him almost immediately after he exited the car. And the police report identified Harris as hearing and speech impaired. So basically, this guy gets out of the car in an attempt to communicate with the officer. He knows that he can't speak or he has a speech impediment, whatever else. And for whatever reason, the thing got escalated and the guy ends up getting shot dead by the police officer. And we've seen this happen in other areas. It happened actually here in the city of Austin, Texas. I don't believe the guy died or was seriously injured in the incident, but basically he got pulled over, a similar situation, a minor traffic infraction. He gets out, he has his wallet in the hand, and the police officer opens fire and starts shooting at the guy. And these are the type of things that we see repeated over and over and over, regardless of the race of the suspect or the race of the officer or any number of other factors. I think at the baseline of it, it's the issue with the way these guys are being trained. They're coming out of the academy, they're being shown these videos like the suspect's going to kill you and your whole family. Are there people like that? Yeah. Is that the type of situation that you're going to encounter on a routine basis? No. You have to have a level of discretion, just like if you go through a concealed carry class. You can't just whip out your gun and start waving it around in any type of situation. You have to really think, is my life in jeopardy in this situation? And when you get some guy who gets out the car and he's just waving his hands around, trying to speak, I guess use sign language or whatever else, he's not a direct threat to you. He's not carrying a knife. He's not carrying a gun. He's not carrying a baseball bat. Why did you have to open fire on this guy, or at least open fire with by using lethal force? If the officer really felt in danger, could use pepper spray or a taser or something else in this situation. That still would have been overkill, but at least they wouldn't have killed the guy in doing so. And it's a very sad story, and it's the type of thing that we have to get to the bottom of, to where the officers need to know that not everybody is their enemy, but also the people on the street, because we do see the groups going out there agitating people, fighting with the cops, purposely trying to stir the cops up. So it's on both sides. It's not just all the cops. It's also certain agitators out there, especially in the wake of some recent things like the officers getting shot at the pumps. And that's by no means a justification for what happened here. But this long-winded way of saying that it's all the way around. These things need to be changed. Now, if you guys recall, I guess it was 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago, in New York, where they brought about the New York soda ban, and they wanted to ban cigarettes and all types of silly things. Now they're coming out with new guidelines for sugar for kids. Now, as far as a guideline, I don't have an issue with a guideline or a suggestion. We suggest you do X. That's fine. It's when they try to cross it over and make it some type of official policy or law that I have an issue with it. The article says children in the United States currently consume an average of 19 teaspoons of sugar a day, but the American Heart Association wants families to focus on taming that sweet tooth. Last year, the World Health Organization recommended that adults and children limit their added sugar intake to 10% of their daily calories. Now, personally, I consume much more than 10 teaspoons of sugar a day, or 19 teaspoons of sugar a day. I mean, I go to the gym, do other stuff, trying to burn it off, but this really doesn't fly with me personally. I have quite a large sweet tooth, but as I was saying, a guideline, a suggestion, we would suggest you do this, that's fine. But when they cross over to the New York thing, they're trying to ban salt or whatever else they're trying to ban up there, the big sodas, that's when you're taking it a bridge too far, especially when we have like these school lunch programs that Michelle is pushing, where the kids are saying we're hungry. They're saying that this one-size-fits-all curriculum, this food curriculum that you have, doesn't work for everybody. You're giving the football players the same amount of food that you give to chess players. Chess players may be smart, but they're not burning off the same amount of calories as the football team is. So you have to have some type of way to gauge that. And finally, a lot of people talk about Social Security, and they say it's not going to be around for guys like me. That very much is a possibility. But even for people right now, they're not getting everything that they're owed. And this is a homeless woman. She says she's 80 years old. She's been living on the street, and she finally persuaded the government to pay her more than $100,000 that they owed her, but it's taken her this long, and now she's going to receive her payment and try to move on with her life. Just another problem with Social Security and just ensuring everything to the government. But stay tuned after this break for more special reports right here on the Infowars Nightly News.
In the past decade, we have witnessed unparalleled scientific discoveries in the area of health. But no one has put together a formula that focuses directly on brain health, nerve growth factors, and optimizing your cellular energy at the same time. DNA Force is one of the most expensive formulas to produce. Some of the ingredients in DNA Force are $12,000 a kilogram. we are using the coveted, patented, only American source of PQQ, CoQ10, and more. You want the best that's out there at the lowest price anywhere? Well, we're bringing you a total win-win. The ultimate value, cutting-edge, trailblazing game changer that also supports the InfoWar. We have produced a limited run of DNA Force, and it will take up to 12 weeks to produce more once we sell out. Secure your DNA Force today at InfoWarsLife.com or call toll-free 888-253-3139.